let's talk
relationships on
UME
UMERADIO.
So what are we talking about?
Marriage, dating, parenting, business,
And love, emotions, sex.
it's a conversation with me, Lady Misty,
And DJ KTE.
on everything from hot topics to taboos.
Join us Mondays at 9 p.m. live on UME Radio.
Follow us at Let's Talk Relationship Show on Facebook or on UMERADIO on Instagram. Let's talk relationships, arguments for the grown.
Get the UME Radio app to listen wherever you are. That is UME Radio, one word.
UME Radio. Positive entertainment 24/7. Subscribe on YouTube and click the notification bell.
Hey, 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 good night. DJ KTE, your audio is muted. Not sure if you're hearing me.
Are we hearing
There
me now?
you go. Yes.
Good night. Good night.
Hi,
How are you?
good night, good night, good night. I'm not too bad. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you as well. How was your
I
day
hope
then?
it was all right. It was all right.
Was kind of just kind of
Yeah, kind of
yeah.
just kind of, yeah.
You see,
How?
my morning was kind of interesting because over here in New York,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when it rains or snow, you have no idea. All right, so
Oh.
I got up this morning and luckily something say just get ready a little faster and try to head out a little earlier, and
Mm-hmm.
so I did. And lo and behold, when I went outside, what was on my car? Snow and ice.
Snow,
And
snow
ice.
and ice.
So I had enough time to have it melted.
That's the
Take
Lord
it off.
talking to you.
I was able to make it in time to work. But again, I'm thankful to be here. I'm glad to be here another day. In my right mind, I have my health. That's a blessing.
Yes,
I feel wealthy. Yeah, just for those two
that's a
things.
blessing. Your health is your wealth. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Mhm.
All right. So good night, LTR fam, wherever you're joining us from. Good night, good night, good night. And welcome to a new week and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Relationships. Thank you for joining us. As usual, this is a show where we explore the dynamics and the evolution of relationships to identify challenges and, of course, in our own way, offer perspectives through transformative conversation. So, stick and stay with us. And, of course, join us and tell us how your Monday has been. Of course, we are here to promote strong, healthy family life and community. Now, it is important for you to know that we by no means, it's not our intention to offer any opinions or advice on how to live your personal life or how your personal relationships should be. As I say every week, do you, boo? But of course, you ought to do your own research, be a free thinker, and of course, make sure that you are doing well in your own life and in your own relationships as well. And know that we wish you nothing but love and happiness. So, we look forward to a great show tonight, and we want to say thank you so much. We start with an attitude of gratitude every week that we're here, and we want to say thank you to all our partners, our supporters, our listeners, and our viewers from all over the world. Thank you for keeping our company tonight. So please drop a line in the comments to ensure that we know that you are here. Make me a star. Hello. All right. You're from the US. Well, I hope wherever you are safe, you are warm, and you are dry. I am happy that you're here keeping our company. Thank you and welcome to LTR. Hi, Satin Brownie. I felt like a whole year waiting for this discussion. Finally, well, you're
Uh-oh.
here.
It's
You're
gonna be
here.
hot,
You're
hot,
here.
hot.
It's gonna be hot. All right.
Well. It's January 24th. All right,
Yes.
and right about now it is
Mhm.
approximately 9:05 p.m.
Wow, it's
Yes,
9:05. Well,
and
for
it's
our
moving.
new persons coming in the room, let me introduce myself. My name is Lady Misty, and with me, of course, is my amazing co-host.
Hey, DJ KTE.
That's
That's
right.
me.
And we are here to take you through tonight's discussion.
Yeah.
All right. So, in case you're having a birthday today, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Or if
Happy
it's your
birthday
anniversary,
to ya.
happy
Happy
anniversary.
birthday.
That's right. We are all about celebrating our love and our family. So if it's your birthday, we're giving you a special shout out. Happy birthday. Or if it is your anniversary, hey, happy
Mhm.
anniversary to you. We
Yeah.
wish you all the best and we say continued love and happiness to you.
Lady Misty,
So, yes.
there's a really interesting couple, right? Normally you have
Yeah.
like, every month anniversary or every 6 months or every year. This couple got together. The first day they
Mm-hmm.
started, the next day he's saying happy anniversary. She's saying why?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the second day. I mean, come on. That's crazy.
Oh my
It's
goodness. Entrepreneurs Allowed. Good night. I see you. Thank you for joining us
yeah.
tonight. Now, if you have not yet subscribed, please go do so right now. Right now. Right now. I'm rushing
Do
you,
it,
yes,
do it,
because
do it.
I don't want you to miss out on the goodness.
I'm telling you, it's
And click
coming.
the notification bell. Ensure that you do that so that you can be notified when we go live. And please like the video and share it with a friend or a family
Yeah.
member.
Spread
So,
spread the love. Spread the love. Yeah. Spread the love.
tonight's topic is really inspired by a video. Hi, yes, I love you too. Our topic tonight is inspired by a video that we found online. And just in case you're joining us, our topic tonight is, are Black women raised to marry? Are we raised to be wives? We're going to talk about it tonight. And tonight we have our very, very special guests. We have two beautiful ladies joining us tonight. We have Jessica Ray and Tina Devon. They will be joining in the conversation tonight. But
Yes.
before we do that, I want you to take a listen to the video. All right. So it was inspired by this video.
Women, they're raised to be a wife.
But why isn't a black woman raised that way?
Most black women are raised to be independent. Remember, let's be real.
Say that again?
Most black women are raised to be strong, tough, independent, and don't take no shit. Cause the daddy wasn't shit. I raised you alone by myself. Be a strong black woman. So they come into the game with their guard up ready. Spanish girl is raised to serve. They be cooking for their father at a young age, washing the dishes, washing the table, mopping all Saturday morning. Let's face it, they're raised to serve. If one time I swear to God, I'm at a girl's house having dinner. I got her with my own plate, put it in the garbage, put it in the sink. Her mom spazzed on her in Spanish about da 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 da. Now, in the black woman's house, if I get up with my own plate, she gonna say, that's a damn good nigga. He got his own shit. I like him, Shirley. He got his own shit. But Maria better get up and get that plate and get it washed and show him you are a wife.
In my perspective as a woman and how Spanish guys been with me and my relationships, it's trash. You understand? Like, no luck. But how black men been with me, my past relationships, they've been good. I've been the bitch.
Is it because of the sex? Does sex have anything to do with it?
Nah, not really.
We will be sharing with you excerpts from a research published online August 24, 2013 at ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. The title of this abstract is Married Black Men's Opinions as to Why Black Women Are Disproportionately Single, a qualitative study. The purpose of this study, according to the report, was to explore the reasons black women are disproportionately single, according to the unique viewpoint of married black men. Findings on the reasons for the disproportionality of singlehood among black women reflected these four themes: gender relations, marriage, education, and socialization, individual development, and a preference for gay or lesbian relationships. Over 3/4 of the men, 79%, discussed gender conflict between men and women in the black community. The husbands noted that many women are misguided in their approaches to attracting and keeping a mate. The men also discussed the negative effects of incarceration on relationships. Further, the respondents underscored how the strong independent nature among some black women challenges relationship formation and maintenance. Other respondents cited black men's failures to meet their responsibilities and pursue education and training, as well as how lack of trust challenges relationship formation and maintenance. On the issue of the likelihood of marriage, the research had these findings. Research has examined differences by race in the perceived likelihood of marriage, although expectations have changed over time. Using data collected in 1989, Tucker and Mitchell Kiernan, 1995, found few differences in marital expectations by race. On a 10-point scale, black men had a mean expectation of 6.6 and white men had a mean expectation of 6.7. Surprisingly, black women expected to marry slightly more than white women, 6.3 and 5.7 respectively. More recent studies found significantly different expectations for marriage by race. African American adolescents reported that they expected to be married by age 25, less often than white adolescents for both male and female respondents, Chrissy 2005.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for that information. And let me just say big up to our engineer. Yeah, yeah. In Jamaica we say yeah, big up.
Yeah. All
Thank
right
you
now.
so much for that. So tonight, what an interesting topic we have tonight. Are black women raised to marry? Now, one of the things I see jumping out of the research is that, hey, black women expect to be married. So it's an aim, it's a goal, but are we raised to be married? So here we go. And here is Satin chiming in. So relax, Satin. Don't get on the defense now. Listen now first, because listen. I thought slavery ended. Make me a star. Well, then I see the comments jumping in already. Let me read this one. It says, they say, train up a child in the way they should grow, and when they're old, they will never depart from it. The same applies. Train up a slave in the way he should go, and he will never stray from it. Oh my God, listen.
Hold on. One word. Train up a child in the way it should go, not grow. It's supposed to be go. But hey,
listen. The comments they are coming out swinging tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So tonight we have two beautiful ladies with us who will be joining us. So we have Miss Tina Devon, author of Preparing Yourself for Our Mate with God as Your Foundation. And we have Jessica Ray Bryan, a mom of four, minister of the gospel, and professional counselor. She is also the host of Soul Chat, an upcoming talk show integrating spiritual and clinical counseling conversations that help us thrive in our everyday lives. So we have two beautiful, well-educated black women in the house that will help us to dissect this conversation tonight. Good night, ladies. How are you? I trust you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk Relationship. Welcome, Jessica. It's great to have you again. Tina, thank you so much for joining us. So let's hit it off. So tonight the conversation is surrounding us as women. Hey. And the question is, are we raised as black women to be wives, to be spouses, to be married? Are we raised to be married? So I want to hear the reaction from you, ladies. I trust that you saw the video and you saw the information. So I want to hear, just off the bat, what are your thoughts? Let me start with Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me, Misty. I appreciate this. This is such a great opportunity to be on here. Oh my,
Yes.
what a topic. What a topic. This is going to be a very, very good discussion. Um, you know, I have opinions about this, and it's like something that I've developed over a long time. I've actually been studying this myself.
Interesting.
Um,
All right.
there's two answers to this, in my opinion, and the answer
Okay.
is and no. Okay.
Okay.
Yes and no. And so for me, when I think of the Black woman, I think of
Mm-hmm.
like the epitome of femininity, the epitome of, glory and beauty, and the perfect creation made after God's own heart, right?
All right now.
Yeah, definitely we are.
Ah,
When you can just look at us and you tell, all right?
of
So
course.
we have all of these great attributes, these features, okay? We have all of this strength and we exude this power. When we walk in the room, I mean, we shake things, right? We are beautiful inside and out. We were fashioned that way as the original woman. But the reason why we got kind of like shifted is because of slavery. Now, the Black woman over in Africa, she still, she's always been submissive. We were trained to be submissive. We were trained to support, to help, to protect, to nurture our men. I mean, that's in our nature. I think marriage
Yes.
is in our DNA. Marriage is in our DNA. It's part of
I
who we
love
are.
that. Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, there's no argument about that. But once those of us who got captured came over to America, they sought every means to destroy that union. They sought every means to destroy the way
Wow.
that we're so unified with our men. The Bible says two shall become one.
That's
And that's
right.
exactly the African woman sees covenant. Whenever that happens, it's like, okay, this is a covenant. This is forever. This is a bond, an unbreakable bond. But when slavery came, well, when slavery happened, that was they sought to destroy that. So they would take the
Mm-hmm.
man and emasculate him. We all know this. They would take the
Yeah.
woman and rape her and in front of the men and destroy the
Wow.
covenant relationship. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you keep doing that over and over and over and over, they try to paint a picture in the mind that, hey, covenant is not for you. Covenant is not for you. Matter of fact, you are 2/3 human. What are you doing marrying anyway? And so even through all of that, we kept on marrying. We stayed close because we knew who we were. So we
Yes.
stayed close to our men and we kept on, even though we were sold off and they sought to divide us, we stayed, we maintained the sanctity of marriage. And then, of course, we got all the way up to, segregation times, and we stayed close to our men. We stayed submissive. We stayed supportive of them until we get to the 1960s and 70s.
Yeah. Free
Mm.
love, free
Is when
expression.
we have a major problem. Feel free to
Yes.
chime in. Feel free to come in. If you guys want to,
I,
interject
I
here.
I see them
I
preaching
feel.
with you. So preach
Yeah.
on, preach on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know,
They're
I
listening. They're listening.
know. I'm like, she's saying everything. So I'm like, okay,
Yes. Come on now. Hit us with that history, girl. Hit us with that history.
mhm.
So we get to the 1960s and 70s, and that's where we
Mm-hmm.
see ourselves being torn. I mean, they ripped us to shreds with welfare. They ripped us to shreds with, trying to take our kids and put them in foster care. And,
That's right.
Malcolm X, we've seen that movie. We know what happened. That it
Mm-hmm.
was very intentional. Because if you can break apart the family, if you can take the father away, you have taken away the force, everything. And so it made it very difficult for man and woman to stay married. I don't have to be married. As a matter of fact, I can just be on welfare. And if he's in the house, I'm penalized because I lose my welfare. So Black women
Mm.
began, when we migrated from the South, we began to, have options, right? And at the same time, and see, some of these things that the men were saying, or some of these things that you all were talking about earlier, where you showed on the video, are correct. Jail, big factor.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
true.
80s intentionally putting our men in jail. So what ended up happening is that the pickings were slim. Okay, the pickings were slim, and then we have HIV introduced, and women are now mixing up with men that are out of jail and they don't know how to be men, and then we've got the family is just a mess, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But all the same, at the same time, we still have grandma, we still have mom who were holding it together. There was an undercurrent or a remnant of women that were still being examples of being wives and mothers somewhere in there in a different demographic of blacks. See, we don't tell the whole story. It wasn't, this thing didn't happen to all blacks. There's still a pocket of us that maintained our identity. Okay. And so with all of that, you have the blacks that were being torn away. You've got the blacks that maybe they stayed together, mom and daddy still together to this
Yes.
day, 60 years still together. They don't tell that story though. They
So,
don't.
so
Mm.
wow, which leads me to a question, and I like what I'm hearing, and maybe Tina can chime in
But
here as
hold
well.
on, DJ KTE, because I know Jessica just gave us, she took us to school a while ago.
She
So
took us.
I want to hear what Tina has to say. I want to hear her reaction from what she heard in the video, and then we continue.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, Jessica gave us a mouthful. Actually, Jessica,
Yes, she did. She took us to school.
she did, and she went back to something that I was going to go back to, slavery. We are learned to be submissive from slavery. This is something that is root. It's in our root. It's in our DNA. Marriage is in our DNA, like she said. And like we were talking about last week, children listen. As teenagers or children, we look at our parents, we look at our grandparents.
True.
We're not necessarily taught how to prepare for marriage, and sometimes it's a little bit dysfunctional. So now we have to, as we grow up, we learn for ourselves how to function in marriage. We take a little bit of grandma, we take a little bit of mama, we take a little bit of auntie, and we try to put it together to band-aid our marriage, even if it's messed up, even if it doesn't work. So, I mean, we're not necessarily, I think we learn how
Mm-hmm.
to when we're in a marriage. We just learn our marriage. We're not necessarily taught. Like I look at mom cook, so I know how to cook for my husband. I look at which I wasn't with my father, but my granddad. I seen how my granddad treated my grandmother, so I knew how a man was supposed to treat a woman.
Yes.
So, so I mean, I think it's not necessarily cultural. I do think a lot of like as far as when I did my research, as far as divorce ratio, we were kind of in the middle. We weren't on top.
Mm.
It was actually Caucasian education.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Any response,
That's right.
Lisa Bryant? To that? Any response to that?
Yes, I do believe it's definitely based on how you were raised.
Mm-hmm.
Now the likelihood nowadays, because based on, like I was saying, what happened in the 80s and the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
we had to grow as independent women. You know,
Yes.
I grew up seeing a bunch of single mothers. A
Yes.
lot of my friends' moms were single, and it was as a
Mm-hmm.
result of that 90s pandemic of AIDS, and the men were in jail, and then we got options, and then we got welfare, and all of this as a result of that 60s and 70s, that 50s, 60s, and 70s ripping away. And what happened was mom had to raise her daughter strong,
Yeah.
because she's like, you know what, this
Yes.
happened to you too. So and because daddy was gone, because possibility daddy died fighting for freedom, and so daddy was gone, so it's like, baby, I got to raise you strong. So we now have a generation of women that were groomed to be strong and independent. Now listen to me, ladies, okay? I look, we are strong. All right, we are strong and independent, but some of our strength that we have been groomed to have has not necessarily been the most attractive to some people. It's been kind of like painted as, too independent or feminist, right? But we had to in order for us to survive as Black women in this society that put us down. Now, like I said, there's a remnant of us that were raised still, to be feminine and soft and to not have to be strong, because we don't want to always have to be strong, right? Some of us were raised by fathers who were strong for us. Then we've got another portion of us that daddy wasn't in the house. Mama may be running the streets because of all the crack, the epidemic that was going on. So we had to be
Yes.
strong. So we had to be independent. And so a lot of us were like, you know what? We're not taking this life anymore. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
school. We're about to be educated. We're getting ready to rise to the top, which so many of us did. So many Black women. I mean, actually, Black women are the most enrolled. There's statistics. Black women are
True.
enrolling in college like nobody's business.
Wow. So,
True.
so, so the point I want to make here, and some very interesting thing was said so far. So what I'm hearing there, there's something called social engineering that I became aware of, when I came here in the States, and words like strong, they make it seem like as if it's a bad word. Actually, I'm thinking more like wise opposed to the strong, because making a wise decision is what they did, and so they're making it a word strong as if it's a bad thing. Now, getting back to what I always hear, especially now. Come on, pick up yourself and just make it happen. Just don't worry about the past and don't worry about what happened back then, and try to make it happen now, right? And so forth. Which I do get that point, and we should find a way to think forward, move forward. However, I think too many times we don't look at the real impact of how devastating slavery was, what it did to our families and to us emotionally, psychologically, mentally, spiritually. And so therefore I think some real good surgery has to take place in those deep areas to help us move forward. But I think that at the end of the day, there should be now a little more, I think, push as Blacks to we're in the information age, so we should be able to galvanize a little more effectively, understand a little more what's going on in our society, how we're being bamboozled in some ways, or we are being divided in ways. So I think it's now for us to be more aware and alert, because you know we can't deny the effects of what happened to us. But how do we now move forward? How do we get a grip and say, hey, look what's going on, folks. Let us try to galvanize and come together in a way where we can move forward effectively. That's where I'm kind of at right now, somewhere in the middle, somewhere.
Mm. Very good point, DJ KTE. And I just want to backtrack a little to the video, because the gentleman spoke. He was doing a comparison between the Latina community and the Black community. So he's saying that he went to a house, he was with his girl, they went to dinner, and he took up his own plate, threw whatever in the garbage, put his own plate away. And the mother of the girl was like, no, 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 Maria, that was the name he used. Maria should be doing that, such and such and such. And he gave the comparison to say, if it was a Black home and he went to the house and he did that, he would be applauded for, like, yeah, you taking up your own things. So I want to ask the question, ladies, is our strength and our assertiveness, our independence, making us disadvantaged? Are we a bad sell to men? And as opposed to the Latina community, or is it looked at as a sign of weakness for them? What are your thoughts with that comparison?
Well, I must say, I personally, just me personally,
Mhm. Yes.
I um I think it could be either or. I think
Mhm.
sometimes it can be too strong. It just depends on our situation and what we've been through. A lot
Mhm.
of African American women, we don't have it easy. And so sometimes when we get something, we don't want to lose it. Um, and as far as like, I have children, and my oldest son is 26, and he only dates Hispanic women.
Interesting.
He only dates Hispanic women because he says, Mom, just like the video said, Mom, you're strong. You're very strong. And he said,
Mhm.
whenever a man comes to usually an African American woman, you have to know what you want, when you want it, and how you want it. Because we are hard, it's hard for us to settle.
Hmm.
Well, for me, from what I've seen.
Interesting. Wow.
Any
So,
thought? Any thoughts, Jessica?
You know what? There's a misconception. I think that word strong.
Mhm.
Can I just be frank real quick?
yeah.
Go ahead. That's
No,
why
no.
you here.
I think I'm right there with you. I think I'm right there with you, Mr. Bryant.
There's a difference between being strong and having a nasty attitude.
Yeah.
There's a difference between
There you
being
go.
strong and having a disgusting attitude where you can't be told what to do. And so when you think of strength, you think of like submission under control. That means I
Yeah.
can do it. That means that, if I'm thinking of I'm sorry, you hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second.
We
All
can
right. Well,
we can
go
continue.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tina.
Okay, so like what she was saying, it is a difference as far as being having a nasty attitude and being submissive. I'm more on the submissive side. I don't think a nasty attitude, but I know what I want. Um, and there is a difference in having a nasty attitude. And my son, he doesn't date African American women because they have a nasty attitude. It's just that they're really strong and more like he told me that on the Hispanic side, I guess as the gentleman was saying on the video, they're more okay, I'll do it. They don't have a question. They don't, they're like, if you say
Mm.
something, okay, that's fine. No rebuttal. No concern. Go
So
ahead,
wow.
Jessica. Back.
Wow. Interesting.
Okay. I apologize. A dog literally opened the door and came in.
That's fine. That's fine.
Don't ask me how that
That's all
Who
happened.
let the
right.
dogs out?
He
Who let the dogs
wanted to be part of the discussion too. He was like, I want to be a part of this.
out?
Okay, so and yes, so strength is ability and power under control. That is what strength is. I am every woman. I can do it. I am capable. I'm able. I'm educated. I'm wise. I know, right? I am just, I'm great. And then when you have a nasty attitude, it comes off like, well, hold on, you fix your own plate. You know what I'm saying? You go in and get your own plate. You know what I'm saying? It's just disgusting. It's not strength. That is somebody that's not taught submission. And so if a man is intimidated by strength, in other words, I am intelligent, I know, I am educated, I am well-rounded, then I think it's the man's problem.
So, so,
Now, yeah, go ahead.
so Ms. Brand, not to cut you, but as you were saying, so you're saying that maybe his interpretation of her is an issue because, but she could be saying she could have an opinion and probably even be nice about it, but for him, it's still considered a problem because she spoke up, because she shared her thoughts. So maybe it's
Yes,
not the tone. It may not be the tone. It may not be the what she says, but the fact that she says something. And I think some men do
absolutely.
have that issue. Go ahead, Mr. Brian.
Yes, absolutely. I think that opinionated women, it's nothing wrong with being opinionated, with having your own ideas. That is hot. that's attractive to some men, okay, to men that have that to get themselves together, to men that they like a woman that can talk to them, they like somebody that can be helpful when it comes to moving them forward in life. They need that. But another type of man who's been raised to be, maybe women shouldn't talk, they should be seen and not heard, or either they should just say okay, and they should cower and they're submissive and they should decrease when you walk in the room and that type of stuff. He might be too passive, he might be insecure about a woman that could present with some, with some substance. And so we have to be able to understand the difference between strength and having a nasty attitude. Two different things. Now, a lot of women in our generation have been raised to have a nasty attitude and have confused that with strength.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they present with a nasty attitude, a takeover spirit, a attitude where I'm not going to let anybody disrespect me. I'm not going to let anybody talk to me like that. You're not going to talk. Tell me anything.
Jezebel spirit.
All of that. And so, with that has been confused with strength in our generation because of media.
Yes.
And you know what? If I might interject here, that's a great point. And a lot of men who supposedly find these women, whether they are from other races or other ethnicity, that are supposedly very subservient, supposedly very calm, and non-abrasive as far as they see it. A lot of times these men don't grow, because even when they have the strength in them, something to push, they're not pushed at all. So they're left only to their own thinking. There's no real opinion. There's no real idea. There's no real sense of, hey, you can do this, brother. I see something inside of you. I can push it out of you. They don't get that. They get a nice, fuzzy, whatever emotional time, which usually don't really last anyway, because they find that, listen, I'm not being challenged here. When they start to be mature and get a little older, like, wait a minute, I want something more. So we see that dynamic as well. Not sure if you guys have seen that, but I think that's a very common thing that happens within the idea of black men dating and growing up as well. Your own, and realizing that, listen.
I see a comment on screen that says, and some of these women are only submissive in the beginning until after the ring, and manipulation for the ring. But I want to ask a question. What do I hear you, Jessica, I hear you, Tina, and I totally agree with you that strength and rudeness are often misinterpreted, and we portray the wrong idea of strength because we have the wrong definition embedded in us as black women, in some of us as black women. But what do our men need to know about submission? Because men, the idea of submission is also thwarted in men as well, because they think submission means, hey, I have control over you, which sometimes results in the women having the bad and the nasty attitude. So what do you think our men need to know about submission?
I think men need to understand that it is very difficult for a woman to submit to, for lack of a better word, foolishness, childishness, for her to submit to a weak leader. Women need what the Bible talks about. The Bible says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for them, if we're going to be biblical.
Yes.
And it also says that wives should respect their husbands. So which one should come first? The love that a man is supposed to show should come first, and then he gets respect. But if he's not loving the way he's supposed to, if he's not covering, if he's not protecting, if he's not leading, he can't expect for it to be easy for her to submit. And so one comes before the other. You sow a seed, and you're going to get a harvest. Women were created to produce a harvest. And so if you sow love, you're going to get love multiplied over and over and over. If you sow discord and you sow dysfunction and you're not leading properly and you're not getting wisdom and seeking wisdom for the family and you're being a weak leader, then you're going to also get that. Women are basically sometimes a reflection of their leader. So bad leadership sometimes you're going to get a bad result.
Wow.
All
So,
right. There's some information. Oh, go ahead, Tina, and then I'll share the information. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, since we're talking about, the leader, and I hate to keep breaking up my child, but I was a single mom and I raised him the best way I could. I didn't know how
Mm-hmm.
to be a man, but I knew the traits that my grandfather had, and I knew what women liked. And so I raised him to be a husband, if we can be very frank. My daughter
Mm-hmm.
is 29 and she didn't leave my house until she got married because I raised her for marriage. So I didn't raise her to be a slave. I didn't raise her to be beneath him or behind him. I raised her to be right on his side, because if we go biblical, this is a rib we're talking about. We're not talking about a
Yep.
hind part. We're not talking about anything front and back. We're talking about a rib. We're talking about something that matches, something that fits. So I raised my son and my daughter. When you leave this house, your credit score has to be a 600. You have to be prepared for your wife. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have your education intact. This is how I raised my children.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it is a leader. And I was a woman, but I tried to be the best leader I could. But God was my leader. Like my book is, God is my foundation. Anything with a rocky foundation will crumble, it will fall. I didn't know anything but God. All I knew was God. All I knew was to pray so God could lead me on how to raise my children.
All right. I'm going to share some information. I know we've been talking about, and I know, Jessica spoke about education. Also, Tina, you did as well. And, the impact of incarceration, in the early 90s and so on. And I just want to just read this. Um, some data I have here that says black woman's upward social mobility may not always be celebrated by black men who may view themselves in competition with black women for similar educational and employment opportunities, or may have difficulty relating to women who may otherwise be viewed as intimidating. All right. And it says here that black men, uh, it's a sentiment among black men that black women help block social mobility for black men. They attributed these women's efforts to black women's low regard for their male peers. Now it says that there are 91 black males per 100 black females. Uh, Available black females outnumber black males as a result of mortality, morbidity, and imprisonment among black males, and increased longevity for black females. And we've just spoken about that. So, that's an impact as well. And it says here the imbalance of males to females is further uh, um, exacerbated by the increased likelihood that black men may marry someone of another race. And Tina, you alluded to that based on what you said about your son compared to black women, because of course they think that we are too
Got the
strong.
hump, huh? Got the hump, huh?
Yeah, we have that oomph, that may be,
Yeah,
repulsive. Yes,
yeah.
so thereby further reducing the number of marriageable
Mhm.
black males available to wed black females. So listen, the data is there, the data is clear, and we know this. And I know we are rushing and we are running out of time. But I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want us to talk about now how in our space we are post 90s, we are post all of that, and we are aware of all the challenges that the black male and the black female has come through. So how do we now, as best as we can, break the cycle? What do we tell the black woman? What do we tell the black man, so that we have great wives, and that we have great husbands, and that we have great relationships.
Right before we go, there's a comment that I saw right there on the screen.
Oh yes, it says, referring to Make Me a Star. I agree with Sister Jessica when she traced our present relationship to problems back to slavery. Self-hatred was beat into us. Yes, that is so true.
Wow. Wow.
So how do we go about now on the journey of breaking the cycle? We know it's not overnight and it won't be, a flash, but how can we break the cycle so that we have healthy relationships in the Black community?
I don't know who wants to start, me or Jessica.
Yeah, anyone. Anyone can take this. Jump
Let
at
me
it.
start. Let me start because I'm quick. Jessica. Oh, Jessica, I love you, Jessica. But Jessica, girl. Okay, I can just say this. I just want to say, by knowing who you are, you don't know what God has for you until you know who you are. What do you know? Do you know what you like? Do you know what you like to eat? Do you know where you like to go? What's your favorite color? These are some things that we need to know about ourselves. Sometimes we don't know enough about ourselves and we get into a relationship and then later we found out who we are and then the other mate and we're like, okay, we don't fit. So there are questions that we have to ask first instead of just getting into a relationship. We need to take a little bit more time and ask questions.
That's right. Jessica?
That's the point.
I love that.
I can hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is perfect. Get to know yourself. Your individuality is everything. And to see if you are a good fit. So interview the other person, most definitely. Another thing I would add is kind of like it has to do with the bigger overall picture, and that is media. I cannot stress this enough. We do ourselves harm as the Black community by allowing or supporting artists and people on TV and movies that depict us and our marriages wrongly. It paints us in a light where it keeps we repeat cycles because we emulate these things.
Mm-hmm.
There are stars that are responsible for the music that they put out,
Yes.
for the images they portray, and they make us act this way, because basically you are a byproduct of what you see and what you hear. And that's just the way it is. So if we're listening to some of these stars out here that are degrading us, making Black women feel like we have to be basically this physical being and not put any substance on the inside of us, we're going to perpetuate that same foolishness, and we're going to place more value on the way we look instead of who we are. And if we keep doing that, we are going to diminish our value. The generation up underneath me, I really have a problem with, because it's all about the way you look. Nobody's talking to them about your character. Nobody's talking to them about the womanhood and being feminine and being sweet. It's all about your makeup and your body and getting a fake this and a fake that. And it's nothing about the heart. The Bible talks about the heart, and it says, don't be worried about the braiding of the hair and all this, but it is the hidden man of the heart.
Yes,
that's your glory. And so a good man is going to be attracted to that inner glory, that inner glow that you have. And if we as Black women don't realize from the foundation of who we are, from the very genesis of how we were created, if we don't go back to the core of us, then we could be in trouble if we allow, I don't even want to name the stars. You all know them. You call them out right now. Call them up stars. Call them up. You know them. If we keep on emulating them, we're going to get their results. Okay? So we're going to need people that would take more responsibility. Those that have the power need to take more responsibility and say, you know what, I need to create more music that helps my people instead of trying to get the bag and make all the money. It's like the worse the better. The more degrading the lyrics are, the better. And so we listen to that and we become that, and we watch that, and we watch these powerful women on TV that and we become that. We feel like we have to be that. And she can't get a man. She
Yeah.
can't get a man. We need the stars from back in the 70s that were submitting themselves to their husbands. We got, Felicia Rashad, good example. We don't see Felicia Rashad types of people today, right?
No.
We see those on Power. We see them
Reality
on
TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need more responsibility in our community. The higher we go up in influence.
Yeah.
That's a great point, ladies. I tell you, I'm listening. I'm like really just admiring what I'm hearing. And I was speaking to someone earlier on today, and I said that black media is in a rise, and I noticed that, and I think it's some way I'm seeing where we're going to be networking more. They're going to be some linking going on across this country and this world where the interchanging of ideas and thoughts is going to be more prevalent. And when that happens, I think we're going to see a lot more results from, I would say, programs that I think that are positive or strong and really highlight blacks being aware, being more self-aware, and actually taking responsibility and actually moving forward in being better. But I'm seeing the media thing world come together in a way where it's very interesting to me. And I think once we make the connection, we start to see the importance of coming together in that space. We're going to see a lot of good things happen with our young folks, because we have TikTok going. We got these, and they're like hitting hard. These programs, there's some stuff on these social networks are incredible. The image that they show and they spit out every day, every second. So we have work to do. But I think that you ladies did a fantastic job. Tina Devon, she's our returning guest, and Jessica, you made a mark so quickly. I'm like, wow, we want you back. We want you second, third, and fourth time.
Yes, listen, the audience is just saying that we should make them regulars. I see Gina Murray. Good night, Gina. Entrepreneurs Allowed. I see all of you over here on YouTube just hitting it off and just applauding these two ladies and their truth, speaking their truth. Listen, Gina says, listen, come Jessica, take us to church. Yeah, she took us to school, she took us to church. Listen, she just took us all over with that history, right? And speaking her truth and dropping her gems. Tina over there just dropping her gems as well, being honest and open. Yes. We do applaud that, and these are conversations that are so necessary in a time like this, because the black community need to have these kind of conversations. I see Claudia. Good night, Claudia. Then they go ahead and life goes to this foolishness. That's true. We emulate the wrong things, and the black community just needs to come together and rep what we are all about from inside out, and not replicate what's outside to change what's inside of us. Yes. Thank you so much, ladies. Listen, I'm so full tonight.
You're gonna be back real soon, I'm telling you.
The time isn't even enough to delve into all of these, strong and meaty conversation. This is the kind of conversation it's like a heavy steak. You can't just eat it one time.
Yeah,
it has to be well done. It has to be well done. But thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much. Jessica, please tell us where we can find you, and how we can, how the persons out there can reach out to your content and all of that.
Okay, so right now I am working on a show, okay, and the show is called Soul Chat. And so I've been doing a couple of things here and there, but I've not launched it. But it's coming soon. So nice. For now, I would like you guys to follow me on Facebook Live. So you can just go ahead and be my friend on Facebook or Instagram, and you will start seeing some of the Soul Chat advertisements. We're nice. Gearing up. We're getting ready to get that thing going so that we can have conversations just like this. I integrate the spiritual, and of course, I'm a counselor, so I integrate clinical counseling and do all that together, and we talk about hot topics. And so you're going to be seeing me pretty soon doing some soul chats. So
we want you back. Yes, we do. Oh yeah, definitely check it
out.
All
right, and we're looking forward to that. Tina, just remind us of where we can find your content as well.
Okay, so my website is tinadevon.com, and we're getting everything together right now. Everything's moving so quickly. So you can find my book, Preparing Yourself for Your Mate, also the one that's coming out, Recompense. And as I have a show coming up too, um, the Tina Devon Show. It is going to talk about the everyday live people and the people that we don't see, the remnant, like pastors inside of the church and, people that are doing everyday things and people just don't recognize it. And so that's where you can find me.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ladies. Listen, I think the black community is coming out with a lot of changes. See, you got to show, you got to show, we got to show, we all got to show. Talking about positivity and just
Yeah.
bringing the
I
truth
love it.
out there.
Love it. Love
Listen,
it.
I'm here for it. I love it, and I want to say from the LTR family, all the best and every success with your ventures. Listen, we need this in the black community so that we can be educators and we can inspire people to do better. All right, we're almost out of time. I want to share something real quick from brides.com, and it is for empowerment. All right, so it says here, and it is from the article that talks about relationships with parents and how we can help to impact our children so that they grow up to be better spouses. And it says they teach you how to show affection. That's something that the black community doesn't do very often. You model your behavior off theirs because that's what children do. Their words become the voice in your head, and of course they influence your attachment style. Now, how do we break the cycle if it's something that you think that if it's something that you may think is an issue? So create new patterns as an adult, and that's what we need to do now. We need to go ahead and create new patterns so we are able to create better individuals. And it says here, according to licensed clinical psychologist Dr. Rebecca Bergjen, she offers this piece of advice. She says, reading, journaling, looking at your current relationship from a different perspective, and giving therapy a try. So, all of these things are very important in how we shape an individual to be a better husband, a better wife. It
And
has been such a great show tonight. Go ahead, DJ KTE.
yes, and one last thing, I must say this, right? Now, during the show, one of the guests, I think it was Tina, said that whenever her kids leave the home, they want to have a 600 score, credit score. So I
Mm-hmm.
say, if I had it my way, make it be 800 score. 800, not 6. All right, make it higher. Okay, guys. So when you leave your home, your parents' home, you want a nice credit score, make it be a 6, 7, or 8. All right, all the way up there. That's my thing.
Up, six and up, six and up.
Yeah,
Thank
6 and
you
up.
so much to all our listeners. Listen, our first time viewers, make me a star. Good night. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We value our first time visitors and listeners because guess what? You are now officially an LTR fam. Thank
Yes,
you for
you are.
all of those persons who were on the various platforms who listened and who
And chime in.
commented.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great
So,
audience tonight.
Claudia and Araya, thank you so much.
Adam,
And
yeah, great show. All
Gina
right.
and all the persons that really commented. Satin Brownie, who is always down with us. Entrepreneurs Aloud.
Yeah.
Everybody, listen.
Woo-wee.
Um,
Jessica, yes.
Golden Inspired. All of you. Thank you so much. Oh, I see Mr. Research. Come on now. Good night to you. Good night to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on another great episode of Let's Talk Relationship. Once again, we thank our two awesome guests tonight, beautiful ladies, Jessica and
Yes.
Tina, for coming through.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It was a blessing. It was awesome sharing this information with you. I hope you took home something with you and you can allow it to guide your relationships.
Yes.
Final
Folks.
words, DJ KTE, before we're out of here.
Folks, this is a great day. and have yourself a great rest of the week. And listen to me, life is good, God is good. Stay blessed, stay safe. See you next time on LTR.
Drink some water and get yourselves ready
Lots of
for
water.
Bible cufflinks and stilettos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
coming up next.
coming up.
Underneath it all, who are we sexually? Bible, cufflinks, and stilettos, with Giselle St. James. Monday nights at 10 p.m. For mature audiences only.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. You know what time it is. It is that time again. We are here. We are here. Thank you for joining me, Giselle St. James, for Bible cufflinks and stilettos. As you know, the objective of this show is to have open and honest, real and practical conversations around sexual issues or concerns and also practices amongst faith based couples and otherwise for better relationship outcomes. Tonight, I want to ask you, my viewers, an important question. Are we raised to value sex? So please, come on, join me in the comments. I want you to ask your questions. I want you to even answer my question. I want you to share your thoughts, your experiences. Listen, me go as far as to like, your comment, your share, and make sure so you tell a friend, and tell a friend to bring a friend, and tell a friend to bring them auntie, uncle, them mother, them grandmother, everybody. Rock and come in to Bible cufflinks and stilettos as we talk about whether or not we were raised to value sex. Listen, we have to make sure that we are posing these questions to each other, to ourselves, because a question like this will determine how we go forward in all our relationships, right? So, as you know, before we go in, we like to talk about our self check. We like to go into our self check. So, we are going to do our self check exercise. So, with me, I want you, whether you want to do it in your head, whether you want to do it out loud, I want you to repeat after me. I value myself and will not settle. I value myself and will not settle. God made me a sexual being. I am open to what tonight's session will teach me about myself. I am excited to share this information with my partner. I am going to ask questions, share my experiences, anything that will enhance this session. And finally, I am ready to put into practice what I have been empowered to do. So, as you know, we also like to go into a time of prayer. So, I just want to make sure that I listen up while I'm at it. All right. Lord, we are so thankful for who you are. We are so thankful for how you made us. We are so thankful that you have put things in us that allow us to enjoy each other as couples. Lord, I thank you for the gift of sex. I thank you for the gift of our bodies and how we can express our love to each other with it. Thank you for this session tonight. Thank you for the opened eyes that will happen as a result. And I thank you, Lord Jesus, for the enhanced and enriched relationships that will occur as a result of it. Lord, thank you for this discussion. Lord, it's so important and meaningful. And we thank you that you gave us the wisdom within which to have this kind of open dialogue about something that you ordained for us to do. So, Lord, as you go throughout this session, I pray that you will just have your way as I commit this session to you. In your name I pray. Amen. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, usually I'd start out with a Bible scripture, but tonight we're going to go straight into our discussion because we want to have as much of our discussion as possible, right? Now, sex in and of itself, it has been a phenomena that has been revolutionized over the years, and we can see that even for the word itself, for the practice itself, it has seen a lot of facelifts over the decades. Yes, we see that persons are talking about it as they go along. When, say, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, persons were afraid of having the conversation, and if the conversation was ever had, it was always to the tune of, if you have kids and all of that thing. When you get married, when are you having kids? And I'm not saying that that question is still not asked today, but we find that a lot of persons are placing a certain emphasis on the whole idea of sex and the practice of it in relationships. So we realize that sex has been something that has become so mainstream. You see it in advertisements, in everything. You see it pushed in your face. You see it in movies. You see it in music videos. It is all such a commercial entity, but we're still not looking at what it means for us. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes I feel like it is an unbearable topic to discuss. We find out that we're uncomfortable in some ways to talk about it, especially as it relates to safe places and safe spaces, as in our friendships or even in church. We find it so hard to even broach the topic sometimes, that you find that when we're supposed to be talking about what sex means and when it's supposed to be done and how we're supposed to do it and how often we're supposed to do it, we're afraid to have the conversation. You know, when you watch TV, you hear, parents talking about, oh, they're going to have the talk with their children. And some of us are looking at ourselves like, then how my mother didn't have the talk with me? You're asked about the birds and the bees, and you're wondering what bird, the bird that fly in the sky, what bee, the bee that sting me. You've never had the conversation of birds and bees. You're not talking about with your family, what your body parts are like. You're waiting until them go to school, that, oh, teacher will teach them about what them breasts and them, penis and them vagina is supposed to do and all of that kind of thing. You don't have the conversation as the parent with your child, so that they get an understanding of their body parts and what they mean about sex and when it's supposed to be done. We allow them to get the information from other sources. And sometimes those sources are not the right sources, because how you would want them to have knowledge of sex and sexual intercourse, the whole enchilada, you're finding that they're getting it from an erroneous place, because the values that you have are not being instilled in your children. So because we shy away from it, we leave it up to those inappropriate, sometimes, sources to be the ones to instill a value of sex. And sometimes those sources themselves still have a warped idea of what it means to value sex. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask the question: what do you think makes people so uncomfortable to talk about sex? What makes people clam up when the whole idea of sex comes around? Why is it that when we talk about what we need to do with our partner, sometimes we ourselves, we can't even talk about it? You know what I'm saying? We have to get to the crux of the matter, because until we get to that, we won't be at a place where we value what it is that the Lord God made. We won't get to that place. And then, I want us to understand that, listen, we are sexual beings. If it were not so, the Bible wouldn't tell us that input two together and they are to become one. The Bible wouldn't tell us that, listen, we knew one another. Adam and Eve knew each other and they bore a son. You get what I'm saying? And we know what that knowing means. It means that they came together sexually. And out of that practice, out of that one act, you found that they procreated. So if we were not sexual beings, if we were not persons who communicated that way, the Bible wouldn't have outlined things like that to us. So we have to get to a place where that thing that God ordained for us to do, that tells us that we have become one, until we start accepting that, we won't learn to value it. All right. We have been so cultured, ladies and gentlemen, to think that the sole purpose of sex now is just to have babies. Don't it? Talk about it. Yes, in the beginning, God talked about it. Adam knew his wife Eve and conceived a son. Yes. But then there are other aspects of sex that we fail to look at. We're only thinking about sex being that thing that procreates, but we don't look at sex as something that consummates, that causes us to come together, that causes us to be one. Because sex, ladies and gentlemen, don't just think that it is just something physical and it's just two bodies coming together like so. Sex it is so spiritual when you think about it. It is so spiritual when you think about how you come together and you are one. When the Bible talks about becoming one flesh, it is something so amazing to think about. So it is not just for procreation. And I want us to understand that it is not just for procreation. All right? We have other things that we think about when it comes to sex. Sex is communication, sex is connection. So when we talk about how we think about sex, we have to start there. What do we think about sex so that we can place a real value on it? Some might say, in the grand scheme of things, sex don't matter. It is not the end all and be all of our relationship. But let me tell you, it sure does enhance it, doesn't it? It really and truly enhances our relationships. Now, listen to me. Sex, according to the Greek language, ladies and gentlemen, it's an expression of love. Eros. You hear the word? Eros. That sexual kind of love, that physical type of love that we like to express to our significant other. It is a part of our language. It tells us that sex in itself is a love language, and a lot of persons have that kind of love language. That's the way they want to receive love. That is the way that they give love. It doesn't make it any less because it is not maybe filial or it is not agape. It doesn't make it any less. It's just an expression of love. So, yes, it is not the thing that makes up a relationship. But let me tell you, it is a part of it, a sacred part of it. I must say, that enhances the relationship. And you use it, as I said, to talk to each other. This is how I'm expressing to you that I love you. I am worshiping your body. I am gaining your pleasure. I am giving you pleasure. You know what I'm saying? It is a way that we talk to each other. That's how we express our love for each other, not just the simple I love you. This is me now giving you this love in a physical way. So what value do you place on that physical expression of love? That beautiful soul joining act. What value do you place on it? And yes, I like that Make Me a Star has said it. You know, sex is that one thing that separates the single life from the married life. And I'm so glad you touched on that, because that is something that I wanted to also bring about. Listen, your marriage is not yet a marriage unless you consummate it. Your marriage is not yet a marriage unless you consummate it, unless you become one flesh, unless you have that first sexual encounter. That is what tells you that you're married. Man, I tell you, listen, you can sign your name on a marriage certificate all you want. You can sign up that thing all you want. You can say your vows in front of 1,000 people. You can even do it live on YouTube. But until you become one physically through sex, do you know that you're not yet married? And if you don't ever consummate your marriage, that is grounds for divorce and annulment. According to canon law, that is grounds for divorce or annulment. So, do you see that even in that way, even by law, sex has value? Sex is important, but we don't have the conversation. We never have the conversation sometimes we're even getting into relationships, into our marriages, and we're going through premarital counseling, and up to this blessed day the counselor don't even talk about, okay, what is sex going to be like? Do we even talk about it in premarital counseling? Do we talk about it? And because we don't talk about it, we find that we don't place emphasis on it. And in a way, we cheapen it when we get into our marriage. I think I saw somebody say that earlier. Satin brownie. Yes, even though people try to cheapen it, it is of great value. But if you don't value it, it will always be cheap and unimportant. And maybe it's a situation where people don't really understand what the word value is. You know what I'm saying? Because value, when we say, all right, what are those things that you value? Sometimes we just say off the top of our heads, we say, my relationship, my family, education. But when it comes to value and sex, it's not there. So maybe we don't understand what it means. And I want to tell you that value means the importance or worth we place on something. That's what value means. So if I were to ask you, my viewers, what importance or worth do you place on sex? What is it that you would say? What would you say? Is it something that even crosses your mind? Any at all when you're in your relationships? You don't even have to be in a relationship. If you are single and sex is something important to you, that's something that you need to say right off the bat. That's something that you need to have clear, that I believe that sex needs to be a regular occurrence in my relationships. And if you are not the type of person who will give it to me on a regular, that means we are incompatible. We are incompatible because if I am not having sex regularly, if I am not getting a certain kind of sex that I value within the relationship, then it means that I'm always going to be unfulfilled. So that is something that we have to talk about. How do you value sex? Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You see, whatever value or worth you place on something, it will determine the energy you put into it and also how well you do at it. The energy you put, the worth or value you place on something determines the energy you put into it and also how well you do at it. Talk to me. Talk to me. If you don't value something, it won't be important to you. You won't even try to do it. And if you do it, you probably don't do it good. But if it is something that you love, something that you cherish and you are passionate about, listen to me, man. You ever in a relationship and somebody loves something? For example, they love to treat you to dinners. And everywhere they take you and they wine and they dine you because they feel like, yes, man, my woman, my husband, I must take him out and it must feel good and it must look good on my arm. And you put so much emphasis into it and you feel so cherished, don't you? Now, can you imagine if in the bedroom you place the same importance and emphasis on that? Listen to me, man. How we value, yes, Dr. Faith, how we value sex, it should be sacred, special, and unique. Sacred, special, and unique. And yes, Dr. Faith, God said it was very good. It was very, very, very good. And because it good, ladies and gentlemen, it means that it is something that we need to also think of as good. If we place importance on it, we're not saying that we're making it more important than anything else, but we have to get to a place, ladies and gentlemen, where we are thinking of it as important to the relationship. Because if you want to enrich your relationship, sex is a way that you can do so. So if you don't place any worth on that in your relationship, it will not be something that you feed. And whatever you find important is what you feed. And whatever is starved, trust me, it will look for something else to feed it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, what is the worth that you place on sex? How much do you value sex in your relationship? I want you to answer yourself that serious question. How much emphasis do you place on it? How much do you value it? And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, you see, because we're not cultured to even think about and talk about sex, we find that we don't really value it as we should. And you see, when we get that knowledge of it from somewhere else, you find that it gets so warped, it gets so tainted. And sometimes we try to use that tainted knowledge of sex and we try to place it in our relationship. And sometimes it's never good. it's never good because we get it from a friend. And a friend them say, well, if you have enough girl and girl in a bongo, don't it? And man a gallis and all of them something there. And then not to mention when we talk to our girlfriends and our girlfriends say, yeah man, give man yam him out, take him money and all of them things. That those are the things that we're hearing, and those are the things that we live by. And when we have our relationships, we realize that we can't even break that tie. We can't break that tie because that is how we think sex should be. Right, go inspired. We end up having some negative concepts around sex, and we bring those concepts within our relationships, and sometimes it makes us just ruin things that we have. So we have to come to a place where we are talking about it and putting some emphasis on it. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that we're not done talk. I know we're not done talking about this because we have to get to a place where we're now valuing it, right? So, guys, listen to me. We have come to an end of tonight's show. I want to thank you for joining me. I am so happy to see the interaction on this space, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure that we're going to have lots of good times as we go on. Listen, if you still have things to say, I want you to still make sure that you comment under this post. Make sure that you share it with your friends because this is an important discussion. Listen, talk to your spouse about it. Go home tonight or turn to your spouse tonight and say, you know, how you value? What's your value that you place on sex? To have the conversation, man. I want to see that happening. And if you have more questions, if you have more things that you want to talk about, I want you to ensure that you send us an email at ltranswers@gmail.com. ltranswers@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you here next week, same time, same place, with another exciting topic. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to have great sex as the Lord intended.
Did you find this information helpful? Please let us know. And if you have a topic on your mind, which you would like for us to talk about, do not hesitate to reach out. Email us at ltranswers@gmail.com. For access to resources and additional information, please sign up free at our support website, www.familyalltheway.com. If you need help, connect with Dr. Faith Walters at www.familyalltheway.com/therapy with Dr. Faith. Get the help you need to develop and maintain strong, healthy relationships. Thanks for watching.
And now for today's spotlight. UMERADIO was originally founded in 2009. Back then, it was called Advanced Media Production. After winning first place in the Jamaica Broilers Fair Play Awards, the company ceased operations around 2012. In December 2018, the company was rebranded and brought back into operations with new ownership, and in February 2019, it launched its first radio station, UMERADIO, under the call sign WUME-DB, New York. UMERADIO is a digital radio station, owned and operated by UME Digital Media Inc., a digital studio and multimedia company, headquartered in Bronx, New York. Our brands are committed to inspiring, educating, and entertaining people through transformative and empowering content. Our mission is to reach 1 million households, touch 1 million lives, and showcase 1 million brands. Get the UMERADIO app for the full experience, available via your Apple and Google Play stores. If you want to listen on the web, you may go to app.umeradio.com or via our website at www.umeradio.com. Our content can be watched on Carib Vision. You can also listen in via Amazon Music, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Podcast, Podbean, TuneU, Live 365, Spotify, Stitcher Player, FM Listen Notes. For all business inquiries, contact us at info@umeradio.com. This station is 100% community funded. To support us, please visit umeradio.com/get involved. Subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere online at UME Radio. Thank you for supporting us. UME Radio, positive entertainment 24/7.